Thanks everyone for joining us today. My name is Gene Maneri. I'm with the Ella Project, a legal assistance and business development organization based in New Orleans, Louisiana. We're excited for our Zoom panel today on performing at festivals. This is what we're calling one of our Crescendo Sessions. For those of y'all who have seen our programming for a few years, two of the people on this call today, Bri Whetstone and Lou Hill, were the forces of inspiration, knowledge, and implementation behind our Crescendo program, which takes place in the fall of each year. We'll be back at the New Orleans Jazz Museum on Tuesday evenings in September and October this year, where we'll take through 7 weeks of discussions like this. But one of the things that we talked about is that stuff comes up outside of that calendar, and we wanted to begin to share these sorts of things, and we figured the best way to do it was to be able to put it on Zoom so we could bring in audience from wherever. And I'm excited from seeing some of our RSVPs that we do have people from outside New Orleans and even outside Louisiana joining us today, and some of our panelists as well are coming from outside. So cheers to the technology. Just to give y'all a quick heads up, Ella Project, as I said, is pro bono legal services provider. My partner, Ashley Keaton, who manages our legal services, is also on the call. We're always glad to see Ashley. And we're especially excited to have not only with joining us with Bri and Lou, but Sean Ardoin out of Lake Charles, Louisiana, great Zydeco musician and my partner in crime on the Louisiana State Arts Council. And from here in New Orleans, Andy Neubauer, musician, production maven, and longtime friend of the Ella Project as well, along with attorney and also friend of Ella, Bri Whetstone, and musician and music impresario Lou Hill. So it's going to be a great panel. What I'm going to ask everyone to do, we are recording this, and so if you have questions, go ahead and use the chat box. If you're on Zoom, it may be at the right under the 3 dots with the more button. And that way we'll know we'll get a clean recording, and also it may be something that we're going to address in a few minutes, but we'll make sure that we leave time at the end to get everyone's questions answered. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Bri, who's going to lead us through today's discussion. Welcome, guys. Welcome, Bri. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us. Thanks, guys. Why don't we, so just to kind of set the stage, what we're doing today is really walking through what it's like as a musician to play at various festivals. And of course, since a lot of us are New Orleans musicians, Jazz Fest and French Quarter Fest are our 2 biggest festivals and are going to come up. So why don't we start with, guys, can you just give us a brief intro, explain who you are, what kind of music you play, all of your different hats that you wear as part of your music, and give us a sense of how many festivals have you played, how many local festivals, international festivals, just give us a sense of where your experience is coming from. Lou,
Sean, no, let's start with the guests. Sean, Andy, you guys.
Okay, I'll go first. A for Ardoin. I'm used to going first. So, and if I miss something, give me one of those things that I'm supposed to be talking about. I'm Sean Ardoin. Just because for purposes of this, I don't introduce myself like that, so don't y'all say that in the chat. 4-time Grammy-nominated Creole rock and soul artist from Lake Charles, Louisiana. I have been playing music professionally for 44 years, since I was 11 years old. So I have played festivals all over the world a few times, all over the country, many times. And in the state of Louisiana, even more times than that. I play Zydeco music, and then I morphed that into what I call Creole rock and soul music, which is everything through my Creole filter. Creole being the culture of the Black Creoles of Southwest Louisiana. I also am a director of production for Texas Folk Life. So I produce events as well. Got a festival coming up November 2nd in Lake Charles, Louisiana. It's going to be big. It's going to be huge. It's going to be fun. I also am a motivational speaker and life coach. So basically, I'm hustle man. I'm getting it every time I wake up. I'm going after it. I'm going every day above ground. Every day that I wake up on the right side of the dirt, I got a chance to do it again, and I'm going to get it. Thank you. Did I miss anything?
No, that was great.
Okay, cool.
Andy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Andy Neubauer from St. Louis originally, moved down here back in '99 and went to Loyola Music Business Program, and then through various stages of the career, bounced around all over the place in the music industry, ended up doing everything from venue work to booking to artist management, entertainment booking, event production, the whole 9 yards. And one thing led to another, and I fell into production hardcore because I realized it was a steady paycheck instead of trying to constantly hustle as a musician. So one thing led to another, and I got picked up by Jazz Fest.
Awesome. And so what, in terms of festivals, you're also a musician, correct?
I am a musician. I grew up in St. Louis, as I mentioned, so I grew up playing everything from metal to blues and everything in between, and then fell in love with classical and flamenco, which I currently study.
Andy, someone wants to know what high school you went to.
Let's see. I guess I graduated from Parkway Central.
Cool. And then you also, on the event side, in terms of production, what kind of things do you do for festivals?
So it depends on who I get the call from. Typically, I could be anywhere from production consultant to stage manager to the overall production manager to you name it.
Awesome. So you're going to be really helpful when we get into more of the technical logistics side of things, for sure.
Absolutely.
Lou?
Okay, that's a lot. I guess I should have gone first. My goodness. So Lou Hill, musician, born and raised right here in New Orleans. My band is Water Seed. I am in production. So I also have a company called Moonrise Entertainment, which is that's artist management, production of festivals, and events, and a litany of other things. Festival work, lots and lots of festivals. I just can't name them all, but tons of festivals across the country. Done some overseas stuff, but not any festivals overseas as of yet. So yeah, all around just kind of music, business, artist, kind of sort of balancing that lifestyle. So that's me in a nutshell.
Great. So let's kind of talk about what it's like as a musician when you're thinking about, do I want to get into the festival scene or circuit? Can you explain to us how are festival digs different than your standard club or venue show? Too broad. Let me say, how do you, as an artist?
That's easy. I can get that before you go. Save that, because that's another question. That'll get us deeper.
Sure.
So the difference between a festival gig and a like I said, club gig is hard and soft ticket sales. You have to have that story that you tell the venue, that you have a record of selling hard ticket sales, as in people paying at the door to come and see you. And a festival is a soft ticket, as in people just pay to come to the festival and see whoever's there. I find, for me and my particular genre, that festivals have had, in the past, festivals helped me to get into the hard ticket area, because festivals will expose you to a lot of people at one time. And if you kill it, then there are people who go to festivals to find acts to book. And, other festivals go to festivals to find acts to book. So festivals, for me, is what I have concentrated on in my career to make sure that I keep the pump primed.
Sure. And Lou, for you, why do you want to play festivals?
I think every musician, their goal is to, especially up and coming musicians, it's festivals. It's because you have a maximum amount of exposure. If it's the right festival, every musician definitely wants to play in front of packed crowds. That's what every musician wants to accomplish. So a festival is the best way to do that. And as Sean said, definitely when you're doing venue shows, there's a lot of responsibility on the artists. With promotions, marketing, a ton of things. Most festivals, if they're reputable festivals, they're going to do all of that themselves. They're going to make sure people are there. They have to make money. so every musician wants to be on a festival stage,
Sure.
From that aspect, chiming in off of what Sean said, also hard ticket sales versus soft ticket sales. From an agent perspective, you're taking away that risk by playing a festival. You're not having to say, oh, we have this track record in this area. You can get hooked onto that festival that has a better guarantee. And if it's a new market for you, that could be your anchor date to go out and look for other venues throughout that area.
Sure. We know
part.
there's so many festivals out there. As an artist, do you need to be selective about which festivals you play over others? Like, how do you as an artist, or is it just anybody who will have you, are you going to go? Is there any kind of selection in terms of which artist, like what festivals you want over others? How does that kind of play into your artist development?
I would definitely look at genres first of all. I wouldn't be pitching a non-Zydeco artist to a Zydeco festival, for instance.
I would definitely say that it depends on the phase of your career. If you're up and starting, you go for any and every festival. And then maybe you're starting to get a little better. I mean, if they pay you the right money, most musicians are going to show up anyway. But the deal is like, you don't want to go to a festival that's not paying you any money and there's 10 people there. And it's a bad representation. If the sound isn't right, if the stage, if the presentation isn't right, it can hurt you depending on where you are in your career. Look, I've done a ton of neighborhood festivals with 5 people out there, the sound man getting the sound wrong and everything, not having the backline you requested because we were in that phase. We just wanted on our resume that we were playing festivals, and we built from that. So it just depends on the phase of your career. But genre is super important as well.
And also things to consider are a lot of these showcases out there that claim to do so much good for the up and coming musicians. That might be good for you when you're getting off the ground from the get-go, but at some point you want to get away from the pay to play.
Oh, I'm totally against that whole situation because, I don't know what the stats are. But for me, it's a big hustle, man. And I hate the fact that people play on people who want that festivals would play on people's emotions by having them pay to come play. It costs a lot of money to go play. And then you spent the money.
There are big ones out there over in Texas, for instance, that are based on that role model strictly.
They absolutely are. And I don't apply to any of those. But to answer that first question, matter of fact, I'm of the mindset that after a certain point of your career, I personally, I don't really apply anymore. And the times that I've been told that I've asked, hey, why didn't I get the call? They say, well, did you apply? And I'm like, well, I know the people on that stage that y'all put me on don't apply. Why do you want me to apply? And then I apply and then I still don't get a call back. So now I'm like, forget it. If you don't know who I am, I'm not applying. And to answer the first question, I'm playing almost wherever they pay. Almost.
So this is
big.
Just real quick, Lou, just to make sure we're all on the same page, though, when y'all are saying pay to play, you're saying these festivals are asking the musician to pay to be able to play at this festival.
Absolutely, positively. You go through and you have to pay to apply.
There are some of these that have a pay to apply just to be considered. And then should you get accepted, you're either going to get a pass to the conference or a nominal travel fee, which doesn't cover the travel anyway. And you got to admit, an artist like Sean or Lou, all their band members are actual working professional musicians. So they're taking off from other work that they could be having in their pocket to do those gigs.
Sure.
So what, and this is something I believe has come up in our regular Crescendo classes. I have never paid to be on a festival. I recommend that I've never even paid an application fee. And I recommend that most artists, this is kind of like put up or shut up kind of thing. And it has come up in our regular courses. Do your work. Do your freaking work so that you're not paying. And what I mean by do your work, make sure that you're creating your brand, you're doing the groundwork to make sure your music is good, make sure people hear your music, and do everything like that. One of the biggest things, traps that you can fall into as an artist, is people booking you based on something that's beyond either your draw, or by draw, how many people you can get to the festival, or your talent. Like when you start getting into another realm of like, this person paid for this spot and ours, that is just, I think is a shortcut that you're probably is going to catch up to you. Don't do it. I wouldn't do it. Do what you need to do to be popular enough where people are calling you. And I'm like Sean, I should apply to more festivals. We don't, we're fortunate enough where festivals call us. But there was a lot of work. With all the work that we put in, we still do not, we've never paid to applicate. If I see an application fee, I'm skipping it. I'm not doing it. It's just not.
Absolutely.
Not moving.
Yeah, there's one at this convention that I've paid a few. It was a nominal fee. It's like $25, $30 to apply. And I've paid to apply probably 3 or 4 times. And I even know the people that put on that doggone showcase. It's a showcase though. That's a whole different thing. It's a showcase at a festival. It's kind of like a festival showcase thing, kind of festival showcase. Mm-hmm. But I'm just like, you know what? I ain't fooling with that no more. I'm not fooling with it. Because I just, I don't know. I don't know.
And then
because at that showcase, you can get a lot of gigs from that showcase.
Sure.
It's documented that if you play this particular showcase, you could set your whole year up. And I was just like, I don't know what I got to do to fit it. But I mean, I guess it's not for me. I'm going to lay it off.
But showcases you have to be careful of as well, because some of them have all this great innuendo about what it could do for an artist. Do your research on what that showcase actually is, because a lot of times people such as myself come from out of town. We don't get to connect with all of our friends like on this Zoom, for instance. So instead of going to a music club at night to see some of those artists, we're going to get together somewhere where we can actually talk and hear one another.
True story. This particular one though, Andy, is there's like 1,800 folks, and they're going, and the shows are staggered. You probably already know what I'm talking about by me saying it. It's 3 floors, and it's the showcases are staggered. And I've talked to some people who have done it and had a significant bump. And so I was like, man, I want to do this, because if I could do this, I think I'll get a big bump. But you have to, and listen, you have to pay a grip to get there and do it. So if you're not polished,
your homework. Just like
you're not polished,
that's the most important thing, doing your homework.
If you ain't polished and you ain't ready for that stage, do not waste your money and time.
Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about your schedule plannings. Do you try to set up, do you have to turn down venue gigs to be able to play festivals? Are there ways that you try to schedule venue gigs around your festivals? Tell me a little bit about how you're trying to map out your shows doing festivals, but also keeping up with club gigs.
So if we're talking primarily New Orleans, you're kind of talking about the radius clause and how you work it out. I mean, New Orleans is probably one of the only cities that, unless you're one of the large acts traveling in from out of town, they really don't, festivals here don't say, well, you can't do a show 30 days before, 30 days after, within a 50-mile radius of the festival. New Orleans, because we play so much, there's radius. I've seen the radius clause, but very few people will ever enforce it here. If it's out of town, yeah, they're gonna, enforce the radius clause. So what you do is if you book a festival in LA, you just do the math, and you find all the towns around LA or whatever, San Diego, Morro Bay, Ventura, wherever you want to go, San Francisco, all these different places, and you just route your stuff around that. It doesn't, it's important as you start to tour. A festival, as Andy said, is a great anchor gig. You're going to have certain things provided, is a guaranteed amount of money. Hopefully there's fans there, and you want to get the region while you're out there. So it can affect it. It just depends.
All right, let's talk about we've touched on this a little bit more about, but just going ahead and booking the festival. And Andy, you can talk about this more on the production side. What are the festival bookers looking for in your application, whether there's a fee or not, but what is it that the festival wants to see from the artist? What are they looking for in the application? What's going to stand out? What is a big red flag?
They're going to be looking for the same kind of stuff that a venue does, but more open. So a venue is going to be looking for your hard ticket sales. A festival is going to be looking for what other festivals have you performed at, or what venues in your area have you performed at, and how many followers do you have on your social media pages. It's a plethora of different combination of things that could happen. It could even be they're booking an artist on that festival already, and that artist says, you got to see Waterseed and Sean Ardoin. And that festival buyer says, you know what? Let me check these people out because I've been working with this artist for so long. I trust them.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll add to that. Look, and I can't give them enough praise, but when we were really starting to get our feet on the ground, when we moved back to New Orleans, the local band that really helped us out a whole lot was Johnny Sketch and the Dirty Notes. Everywhere they played, they were telling everybody about us. So they would just be like, you got to check out Waterseed. You got to check out Waterseed. You got to check. So they just, everywhere they played, they would tell everybody about us. And what's weird is we were playing in Pittsburgh and they play in Pittsburgh a lot. And the promoter up there introduced them to us. And from that moment, they kind of have always been great. And I'll also say, which is rare, because it's in music, but if you have a band reference, like if you have this person co-signs us, that goes a long way, even for your hard ticket sales, your venue sales. You know, if you're somebody and another reputable musician is saying, yes, they're hot, a venue will give you a shot, you know?
It becomes a credibility thing the same way with having an agent or manager to begin with. That agent or manager can reach out to the festival and say, you got to see these guys, they're great. Well, who are you? What do you play in the band? No, I'm not in the band. Whereas having somebody outside the band that's in another band that's doing all those great festivals and venues, that's a credibility thing that could build up for you.
Yeah. And I'll say for festival stuff too, you should do this. Look, when we were definitely trying to get out there and doing a lot of work, we had venue owners that we were friends with that co-signed us. So we would be like, we want to come to your city. We want to play. Here's blah, 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 blah from this club. Here's, hit them up to co-sign or validate or, you know, as a reference. And that really helped out a ton.
We have a question that says, what if you don't have these kinds of connections yet? And that leads into my next question. So I guess, Lou, kind of, if there's a festival that you're not familiar with, if you don't have someone who can help get you in, what are the kinds of things you want the festival to know about you? What kind of things do you send them about Waterseed?
So I'm going to ask you a question, but to answer their question too, this is a relationship business. You have to do your work. You have to do your work. And that's what I mean. Like, you got to go to work. People, you need to be seen. And you have to do all the little things that's going to get you seen. If that means posting stuff on socials and tagging them or putting their hashtag or whatever, or putting the $5 on your Facebook post that you're playing at the Blue Nile, but also putting in the demo, the city where this festival you want to play in. You got to do stuff like that so people are seeing you. That's the first thing. And Bri, I'm sorry, what was the question you asked? What's some things you need to do if they don't know you?
Right. So like when you're reaching out to the festival, whether there's a formal application process or not, are you sending them links to your socials? Are you sending them videos? What is it content wise you're trying to give them? Because these are all just digital elevator pitches, right? So they're not going to spend a lot of time with your application, your email, whatever. How do you decide what to send to them to grab their attention?
So
that's an Andy question.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll try to, I'll be quick, Andy. I think that it's been a minute since we've actually applied to festivals, but numbers don't lie. So, well, they do, but the idea is that you want to send them your hottest video, like not the video of like just the band. They need to see the crowd. They need to see it like shot through the crowd, how the crowd is reacting to you, because what they're thinking is they're thinking their demo for the festival. And they want to know that whatever video you're showing them is going to resonate with the demo for their festival. So show them how you are on the stage, show them how you perform, show them the energy of your show, do that kind of thing. Video is so important, in my opinion, when Andy could tell you definitely, but when people are trying to book you, they need to see, how does this act fit inside of my festival? And that's crucial. The best thing to do that is a video. And it's great if that video has a ton of views that you sent them. So I'll defer to Andy.
You definitely hit the head on the nail there. And then just networking, get yourself out there as much as possible, because the more you do your due diligence, the more your name's going to be coming up in people's eyes. And you might have to apply to, say, French Quarter Fest 100 times before you get in. But at some point, they're going to start to recognize that name. So don't get frustrated. Know that you're having to do your due diligence to get your name out there.
Yeah, that should be a caveat that we Lou and I say. So when we're talking from a point of decades of doing this. So it's not like, like what Lou said, what he said, what I was about to say, but he beat me to it. Life happened, y'all look, I like I said, I'm motivational speak, so I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of that right now. Life happens at the speed of relationship. Everybody knows that. But I added this: your relationships will determine the speed and direction of your life. Meaning the people you surround yourself with, the people that you network with, and they're going to determine where you go and how fast you get there. So the thing I've noticed about a lot of artists is they think that people should find them, and that it should just be easy and all this good stuff like that. But at the end of the day, this is the music business. It's not the music play. It's not the music fun. It is fun. We can play, but it's the music business. So you have to do the business of music. And that business is networking and relationships. Because, and the other thing, you can be an artist when you're on stage, but when you're off that stage and you're back there or you're on the way to the stage, you cannot be dismissive of people. You cannot be in your own little bubble. You have to acknowledge people. You have to acknowledge people who are helping you, because the sound man on the front and the stage person are your life and death line. And if you're a butt to them, they don't have to do nothing for you. And your sound can be jacked up and they can look the other way while you're trying to get something done and mess up your whole show. So if you're being an artist, 9 times out of 10, you don't network, because artists think people should come to them. And if you're doing that, then you better be very talented and have a really, really influential friend who's going to do all the talking for you. But since most of us don't have that, y'all all need to figure out how to come outside of yourselves and network with people in your cities. You start there, you practice there, and then when you get an opportunity to go somewhere else, you go to that place and you network. You just be open to networking. I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten an opportunity just because I spoke to somebody. I played at the, and we're not supposed to say names, but I'm gonna tell y'all anyway, because it's not bad. I played at the French Quarter Cajuns Zydeco Festival. Yeah, I played at the French Quarter Cajuns Zydeco Festival. I go down and I'm talking to the guy who's on the mixing board, and I'm not gonna say his name because he don't work there no more. He don't work with them. So I go and I'm talking to him, and I'm saying, hey, we're gonna come up later. And I know you probably hadn't heard us before, but even if you have, the way I can tell you the key to mix my stuff is to think reggae. So heavy bass drum, heavy bass. Kick is more than bass. And then that way, if you do that, mix everything according. This is not rock and roll. The guitar shouldn't be the hottest. The accordion is the lead. So I gave him that thing. He goes, hey man, do you have your own music? And I said, yeah. He said, do you own the rights to it? I said, yeah. He says, oh, well, I'm the music director for NCIS New Orleans. Right? So I send him the music, and it's sat. But because I follow up with people, and every once in a while I'll just send a random text, hey man, what's going on? Send a random text one day. He was like, hey man, what you doing Tuesday? I say, what I need to be doing Tuesday. He says, we need a band for Tuesdays, for the next episode. We shoot on Tuesday. I was like, done. Because I was nice. I followed up, and I was in position, ready to receive what I'm working for. So if you got to just remember that life happens at the speed of your relationship. And if you don't ASK, you don't GET, and if you don't work, you don't get nothing. It don't just happen.
To bring it back to what Lou had pointed out as we got on this topic of the conversation, you want to submit your best material, not only in your eye, but run it by your family and friends. Figure out what everybody thinks is your best, because you're going to be critical about your own art, of course. And once you come up with your brand new music video and you think it's the best thing in the world, think about the attention span that people have this day and age. If you're sending a video, a brand new music video that you spent your hard-earned money on and it looks great, and it starts off with a 10-minute introduction, you're not getting booked on that show. They want to press play and hear it right into the beat of the music where it needs to be, have the crowd singing along, have it right there at the forefront when they press play, so that they can get through 5 minutes of it or 5 seconds of it and want another 5 seconds and not turn it off.
Sure. And kind of off, or go ahead, Lou.
Well, what I would add to that is this is something that really worked for us. I want to say two things, something that Andy said and something that Sean said. They're going through enough stuff. You need to be quick. So I even stopped writing paragraphs. I literally, a sentence, maybe 2 sentences in bullet points. That's it. So their eyes can scan down, click. I'm not going to put a big, long something where they have to really slow down and read. That's crazy. And to what Sean's saying, I can't tell you, even when I've had horrible gigs with sound, I have always, at the end of shows, 90% of the time, not always, thank the sound man and a whole crew. They remember that. And when they remember that, you don't know who's sitting at the table thinking about you for next year. Thank everybody, even if they have had a bad day and their sound is screwed up. Thank them anyway, because it's not personal, it's business, so remember that.
Even if there was inclement weather, but your band still had to go on stage, so there was nobody in the audience and you were basically doing a live practice, you still thank everybody, because that festival promoter could be right there and see that you guys were so easy to deal with that let's make sure they get their rain play back for next year.
Exactly. Yep, and that's another big thing. Your reputation will precede you. So my suggestion is this. Whether you believe in it or not, you understand the principle. Just think about your reputation as being like God's list of your activities, because everything you do and say will be seen by someone and it will be passed on. So act like everything you're doing is going to be on the 6 o'clock news.
And to chime in on what Sean mentioned earlier as well, you have to remember, we're here for a reason right now on this Zoom. This is the business of music. You could be the artist that wants to say, oh, I just want to be all about the music. That's great. At the end of the day, you can have it one of 2 ways. Either you're going to be making money off of you and putting in your pocket, or somebody else is.
And kind of
that was good.
That was good. Sean, maybe you should license that and add that into your speaking engagements.
Into my rep.
But also kind of touching off of things you guys have already said. What if you don't have a manager or a booking agent? And this question specifically directed to Lou, because Lou and I work together and I already know the answer. But if you don't have a manager or a booking agent, do you have to sign the email with your own name?
Bacon.
No, that's a funny joke. Yeah. So Bri, I know what you're referring to. It depends on your strategy. So when we were just starting out, I created an alias, and the people who come to our class know this because the Facebook page is still up there. It's called Jeff Savage is the Facebook page, and it's the manager of Waterseed. When we were first starting out, the band didn't really have a name. A lot of people just wouldn't respond to anybody that was in the band. So we created this person that would do business, for the band. Over the years, people have kind of grown into, myself or somebody I recommend. We have a few different agents that work differently to do it, but you do not have to, if you feel comfortable where you want to keep that wall up. A lot of artists do this. You want to keep that wall in that level of like, you're going to speak business and they're going to respect you in that way, or you're going to be the artist. I've had as late as March, a big show I did in March. One of the GM of the venue was like, man, you could have told us you were the artist. And I was just after the show, and I kind of gave him a lot of attitude, like, what the hell difference does that make? So I knew what he was saying, but it was kind of like, yeah, chill out, kind of vibe. So they do treat, artists have a reputation for being hard to deal with, not understanding, not being linear, not being logical, not understanding the money of the business. And because so many agents, so many venues, so many festivals have dealt with people that way, they tend to, this respect level is a little lower. If you have somebody that's in between that, there's certain gigs right now. I book a lot of our gigs, but there are gigs where I don't make the call. I have someone else who does booking make those calls because I know, number one, I'm going to push on the numbers. I know whatever number that this particular place sends me, I'm going to push on those numbers. And when I show up at the gig, I need to be, quote unquote, super nice guy. You know what I'm saying? I need the person standing in to be the asshole on the phone, excuse me, that's like, they need twice as much as that. They need all of these things. And so that persona allows you to put on a new hat and like try to get what you think your value is. But if you're not the type of musician who can get your emotions out of it and try to get results, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? They're going to read through that in 3 seconds. Don't do that. You really have to it's got to be different. So, but I do recommend that artists do on some level understand that dance, because it's going to give you an understanding of how the business works and what you ask for, what's disrespectful, what do you walk away from, unless you're super popular and you never have to go through this phase. I recommend most artists understand every area of the business, even if it's a little bit. And that's all I got for that.
And right before we wrap up, just booking festivals, Andy, can you speak about what are some of the don'ts in terms of applying or trying to get the festival gig? What are things that are, as on the festival side, going to be immediate turnoffs or just gradual turnoffs?
Well, I believe Sean did a good job of pointing out earlier with the networking. It's also about follow-up a lot of times. You can't just let the network sit there. You have to nurture those relationships, if you will. But with that, there could be a fine line of persistence versus harassment. What is that line on the follow-up? Hey, did you get my application? Yes, we received it. We have this automatic application thing. Okay, well, do you start calling them every week now? No. You find better ways to follow up.
What your budget is. All I'm worried about is what I need. So because I know what I need, then I know where I am, because you will never get what you're worth. You only get what you negotiate. So don't ever think you're going to get what you're worth, and don't, as an artist, don't even tie that to your negotiations. Have your number, deal with that. When I sold cars, I took the personal out of it because I learned how to network, negotiate, prospect, say no, be told no, and I don't take business personal. So when I came back to the music industry, I was dangerous because they're not used to artists being able to do that, right? So when I'm negotiating, and if it gets to the point to where the offer is way too low, my verbiage is that's below threshold. Thank you for the opportunity. And I don't ever leave them on an absolute no. I say, well, look, if there's any other time when y'all are having something where I might fit, then please think of me first and I'll be available. You see what I'm saying? And don't think that I won't, if you can get anywhere close, we can make it happen. Always leave them on a possible. Never leave them on a dry no.
And it doesn't hurt either once you do have another gig to use that as a friendly reach out. Hey, just wanted to invite you to this gig that I have here or this festival performance to see me at another festival.
Sure.
Yep.
So to Andy and Sean's point, and I see the question from Ashley, and I don't want to discourage anybody from applying or anything. Guys, it's really about like your popularity. It's like you're not going to go from, you got to do a lot of shows. Especially if we're talking to festivals that are here, you got to definitely get into like, what are the venues that I need to be playing in to be seen? How can I build a buzz about myself? And then when people start coming in, document it, put it on your socials, because again, they're going through so many applications. They want to know, like literally the first Jazz Fest I played, which was many, many years ago, we played Jazz Fest. It was an okay show. It wasn't great, but we played it, and instantly, because we played Jazz Fest, we were booked to play Jazz Fest. We got 3 shows in California. It wasn't about, they hadn't even heard us, but they're like, if you're good enough to play that festival, then we'll put you in our venue. If your demo and sound fits that festival, then you work for our demo here in these clubs. So you got to think about it like that. Where are the bands that are playing the festivals? Where are they playing locally? What are they doing locally? Like, I become a master of reverse engineering other people's success. Like, look at, okay, they're here. How did they get there? They went through this step to this venue to this. They played for free here, and then they became popular. Then they moved to that venue, and they did. And you'll be seen. Is not. Trust me, New Orleans is actually pretty good about finding like the next up and comers, for the festival. So pretty good about it. Volunteer. Like when we came back into the city, we played all over the country, like everywhere, but New Orleans didn't know us. First thing I did, big shout out to them, I was able to, I'm going to volunteer with WWOZ. So I went and sold the mango freeze for them. It's like network. You need to get out there and do stuff. And it's like, just do stuff that's like going to get you seen and known. Volunteered for piano night for Jazz Fest. Wasn't on Jazz Fest. Hey, you need somebody to help? I'm going to be there, just because if we're talking just New Orleans, this is the one town that's like, you can't get a gig by sending your demo. You may get some of them, but really the owners have to know you. Either you play with somebody else, or you always hanging out, or something, they got wind of you somewhere, but there's just too much competition on the ground. So you have to like get out, as I can't stress it enough. You have to get out as much as possible and network. You're getting on French Quarter Fest, you're getting on Jazz Fest, we shouldn't say names, right? I'm sorry. You're getting on the big.
Say their names. We're just not going to talk badly about anybody, y'all.
Oh, cool. No, I got it. Beignet Fest and the 50 other festivals that are here, Fried Chicken Fest, all these festivals. You're getting on all of those festivals. You should have enough documentation to go get festivals outside of New Orleans. And so New Orleans is one of the few places there's so many festivals. Do your due diligence and be like, my goal next year is to be on French Quarter Fest. Okay, I'm just going to give you a little bit of information. French Quarter Fest is always looking around that Frenchman Street corridor. They do a lot of like looking at artists in there. So go get some gigs down there. And then maybe from French Quarter Fest, you can upgrade to, I should say upgrade, that's horrible. You can move on to Jazz Fest and some, as many, as Andy said, as many opportunities you get to play festivals, you need to be documenting it, taking video of it, listing it when you send to other festivals, because they want to know you can handle the stage.
That's what Lou and I were
bringing up some good points on this also. From the networking perspective, from what they had with Johnny sketching the Dirty Notes before, going around town talking great about them to help them get into different venues and everything, to the reverse engineering aspect. You see a big band that you think your music pertains to, do the backtracking. Where did that band start out at? What clubs were they playing before they got to where they were? What small festivals did they start doing before they got to who they are now?
a great reason to do that is because as they've gotten bigger, they've now priced out. They're not going to do those venues anymore. So the venue's still trying to feed the need at this price point, which may be twice your price point. And so now you can go in and fill that space where this other band that you're like can't play that venue anymore. So you have to think about things like that. Summer is a great time in New Orleans because everybody's on tour. Summer's a great time to break into the New Orleans market. Won't be a lot of money, but it's a great way for venue owners to get to know you.
And they don't get to know you if you're not out there.
And Lou and I were. Go ahead, Bri.
No, I was just saying you had something to say, so I was just giving you the floor.
Oh yeah. Lou and I were talking about this recently. At this stage in our careers and at this stage in your career, no matter where that career is, we had to add this. You have to start with this. You cannot do any shows. I'm going to say this slowly. I'm a fast talker. You cannot do any shows without video documentation. You have friends, if you are young, you have friends who are artist adjacent. You need to tap into those people who think that you're the best thing since sliced bread and the next Red Hot Chili Peppers or the next, the next whatever, and say, hey man, I need somebody to document this show. And they'll do it. I'm going to be an advocate right now of establishing your team. Every time I speak to artists who are in college and they're asking me what, and I said, first of all, you're in college. You are in the middle of the biggest and most fertile. If you're in your 20s and you're near a college, you are in the middle, 18, 16, whatever, however old you are. You are in the middle of the most fertile place for you to find a team that will grow with you. You need to think business. You need to think, what do I need? And they're gonna love it because they get to roll with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you get to go wherever, they get to roll with you. They're backstage, they're videoing, and they take that content because me and Lou had to add that. I'm older than Lou, so I had to add it. like this weekend, I'm playing the Juneteenth Festival in Round Rock, 20,000 people. I cannot afford, I'm going to say this slow as well, I cannot afford to play this show without video documentation. Because if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound?
No. Are you supposed to answer that one?
That's rhetorical. We don't know because we wasn't in the woods. Yeah. But the video brings you to the woods so you can see the tree fall. You are the tree. Be the tree.
I like that, Sean. I want to answer Ray's question really quickly, and she's asking about price point. What do you consider when considering a price point for your acts? So this is where you have to be grossly honest with yourself, because people like Andy and other agents, if you can't pack the house, you can't charge the price. It is really dollars and cents. It comes down to let's say that you can get booked for a show for $10,000. 10 people show up. You made the $10,000, but you're probably gonna be eating that $10,000 for the next year because that club owner is gonna talk to other club owners, gonna talk to other promoters, gonna talk to it's everything is connected. So look, as a starting artist, many years ago, well, not too long ago, we just said we did bar deals, unfortunately. Give us 30% of the bar plus tips. It sucks, but it depends on what kind of artist you want to be. Now, if you can put 200, 300 people in the building off jump, then do the math. How much will those people pay? Okay, per show. If they paid this, if you think they would pay this much per show, then you ask for half of what you think you're going to bring in and ask for a versus deal. And this is getting a little bit off festivals, but really quickly, if you think you can make $2,000 at the door, tell the club, hey, look, I know I can bring 200 people at $10. Can you guarantee me $800 to $1,000 versus the door? And what that means is that you're guaranteed that first bubble and whichever is higher. So the club may feel comfortable then to say whatever. Most clubs that are local, unless you have a name, they're not going to guarantee anything. You know, they're just going to be like, we need to test to see what you can do. And if that's the case, the bands actually that are new that make the most money are the bands that's like, you take the bar, I take the door, and we're going to call it a wrap. And you can do that kind of vibe. And then that way, if you charge them $15 at the door, you make all that money and you roll with it, but you have maximum control over the money you're making. And that makes the club start thinking, hold up, we may want to do more of a guarantee with them because they're making way more money at that door and we want to slice it at. So be honest with yourself. If you're just starting, the most important thing is to be in front of people. Be in front of people, and you're not going to be great if you've only done 10 shows. You know, you have to put years and years and years into it to truly compete. So, yeah.
And you're going to have to know your growth level as well, because some people try to grow too quickly, especially if you're going for markets that have a big festival that you want to get in the door. If you're working with a club and you have a relationship with a club where you're bringing in 200 people consistently when you play that club and it holds 300 people, stick with that club. Start making a relationship with that club where you're selling out that 300 capacity club every time you go to that area. And then is it better to keep that same club 10 times? Or do you want to do that club just one time for the sellout and then move to the bigger club, but risk not selling it out and having the festival promoter show up to a non-sold out show?
A sellout is a sellout. And that's what you need to realize. Like a sold out show is a sold out show, whether it's a 200-seater or a 1,000-seater. Go for the sold out shows, because imagine the videos you're going to get with 200 people and 100 people outside waiting to get in. And then what's going to happen is people who book it are like, they're doing this at this club. How much bigger could it go? And then they don't know, but they're excited about it. So,
but they're going to want you back every time you go back through that area, as long as you're not making a premature jump to their competing venue that holds more people. And when you made that jump, they might not have you back at this sellout club that they know they're going to sell it out for you because you burnt the relationship.
Yep.
Okay, guys, let's move on. I'm sorry, Lou or Sean.
No, I was going to say, I started in Southwest Louisiana, and we did door deals. And I told my little brother whenever we were doing this, I said, here's the deal. I understood way back in 1988, 89. I understood way back in 1988, 89, 90. I said, listen, we're going to play these gigs for the door. And if they don't offer any help to us, we'll still be okay. When we're packing it out and they want to get a piece of the door or try to redo the deal, they can kiss it. And we'll take all of our people and we'll go to another venue. Because at the end of the day, if you could, I don't like that whole, that's a New Orleans thing with the whole bar thing. There's too many fuzzy numbers. I'm like, look, give me the door. And then now the clubs are so greedy, they'll have you come there and play for the door and then want a percentage of the door and have you pay taxes on the door. What? So I got to pay taxes twice? I collect $1,000 at the door. You want me to give you the $100 for taxes that I'm paying, and then I got to pay taxes on the $1,000 that I got again? So you got to find a place that's willing to work with you. If they give you the door, live on that door. Y'all starving artists anyway. If you can pack it out 200, and they want to get, next time you call them, they're like, hey, want to readjust? Take your people somewhere else, because it's always going to be a problem with that club. You got to find the places where it's going to love on you. Make sure you got a good relationship with that club owner, like we said earlier. Relationship. But if you can get somewhere that's going to give you the door, as long as they're making money in that bar, they're going to leave you alone. Especially if you go, hey, I'm going to come and play for nothing. I'm going to commit to this for you. But look, don't change on me. Don't change on me. It's just business. Don't change on me.
Guys, let's switch topics now. And so let's say you've booked the festival gig. So we've touched on this a little bit, but like, what's it like working with a festival promoter? What do they do versus what do you need to do?
What do you mean in relation to what?
In terms of, so you've now booked your festival gig. what kind of promotion and marketing are you going to do, Sean, to let people know you're playing this festival?
Oh, I'm gonna use my social media.
Okay, and what kind of social
I'm-
media do you use?
I use them all. You can't afford to not use any of them. My strongest personal strongest one is my Facebook fan page. I have like 30 something thousand on that page, but I get engagement on my profile on Facebook that has a pretty extensive reach. My IG, I have about 5,000. So I'm not maxing out the social media metrics matrices. I think I had to say that. So because what I concentrated on was making sure that I did great projects so that I could have and did great things in my career to give me social proof. Because social proof, and and Andy, you can help with that. Social proof is another way to get on these festivals, because if you just did Good Morning America, you only got 5,000 people on your IG. So if they have a 15 to 20 or 150,000 person minimum on your IG, but you just played Good Morning America trumps that. See what I'm saying? Or whatever local show or regional show that's big. So it's just where you put your concentration. Unfortunately for y'all, for everybody who's on here now, you've got to be all things to all platforms. You've got to be all things to all people. You have to nurture everything all day long. So when I get, let's say, Jazz Fest calls, they're like, boom, we got you. I said, cool. So now I'm dripping. Lou can tell you how far away to drip. I just kind of use my gut. If I'm playing it, when I get the gig, I go, hey, we got Jazz Fest, man, looking forward to all my New Orleans people, whoever's visiting. I'm playing on this day, and I'll have it right there. I'll put it on my website. So now it's on my website, and it's on my socials. And then whenever we start getting closer, if we have a rehearsal for it, I go, hey, just rehearsing for the Jazz Fest show. Boom, boom, boom. We play this stage, this day. And that's usually 2-3 weeks out. And just like every week, I'm still dripping. I'm dripping on my people. I'm not bombarding them with it. I'm not fire hosing them with it. I'm dripping. Because the drip is the thing. Yeah, the drip is the thing. So I just drip on them on my socials and stuff like that. I know, and that's a big pause and a big no diddy, but I just drip on people.
And Lou, what about you? Do you promote festivals differently than your other shows?
Oh yes, most definitely so. And this is the benefit of festivals. If I'm promoting a festival, I'm really hyper focused on my fans. Like I want them to know where I'm gonna be. Am I trying to reach into people that necessarily don't know me? That's kind of in my mind what the festival's job is for. I am thinking about how do I make sure the market know that I'm coming. Like, am I gonna tag the city? Yes. Am I gonna hashtag it? Yes, because I want to do other business, and maybe I may want to do other business in the city. I'm going to do my due diligence so that the festival is also like, okay, they're actually promoting it too. So I'm tagging them as well. So it's like, we're just not going to take the gig and disappear, but opposed to a venue show that's a hard ticket, I'm doing Instagram boosts. I'm doing Facebook book boosts. I'm doing everything that I can because that's a hard ticket. And a lot more of my reputation is going to be connected to those sales than is connected to the festival sales. The big part that artists have to realize with festival sales, your job is to put on an amazing freaking show. If you put on an amazing show, the festival is going to notice it. Everybody's going to notice it. The fans are going to notice it, and then you'll be back. So it's almost like you get to be more of an artist for the festival shows. So I'm not going to say is night and day in my mind. It's night and day. It's almost like festival shows. I want people to know that we were worthy of getting this gig and we'll be there. My fans, hey, come celebrate this moment with us. But actually my fans, if they may or may not buy a ticket to that festival. You know what I'm saying? They may prefer an indoor show. So, it's just night and day. The promo for festivals is aggressive, but just in a different way.
Got it.
And they're different performances as well.
Very different performances.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get into that. We're just going down the steps, guys. But Andy, what about from your side on the festival? what kind of promotion is expected? Obviously, Waterseed isn't going to expect the same kind of promotion as the Stones, but can you talk a little bit about promotion from the festival side?
I don't really deal with promotion on my end. I stick with production, but I do know that every year we have artists constantly reaching out to us wanting to do their social media push, where we actually, through Jazz Fest, we have a graphic, a social media graphic that we pre-make. The artist will fill out a PR link with their updated photo that they want to use. We put together that social media graphic and share it so that they could go and post it all over the place to all their friends and fans.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that, usually that's the vibe. So they'll send like the copy and potentially the image. If you're like, for us this year, it was very big, you know, making it onto the festival stage. That's something our fans wanted to hear, you know, so we talked about it a lot, you know, because it was a win for our fan base. You know, your fans become like your cheerleaders. So it was a win for the fan base, and we wanted to celebrate that. We've headlined a few festivals this past year. That was new too. So it was like, you want to push that out there, you know, see, because your fans are proud. Like, I've been supporting you all these years. So yeah.
And use the name recognition push. I tell people all the time, you know, you might not be the opener for the Rolling Stones, but you're still on the same bill. So it doesn't make a difference in the promoter's eyes that you're trying to pitch to. You could still claim you were the opener for the Rolling Stones.
Well, if you were on the festival with them, you can claim that.
Yeah. We didn't say we were opening, but we definitely listed, hey guys, we're on the same stage with the Stones, same stage with Anderson .Paak, same stage with George Porter. We're on that stage. Come see us. And people, again, your fans will be like, wow, you guys are finally doing it. So yes, definitely use every little bit you can.
Sure. Let's switch gears to talk about, now we're getting ready for the festival gig. What are your expectations in terms of, let's start with some just logistics, like the festival backline.
So okay. I guess that would be my area.
You start.
It depends on the event, really, because every event has a different budget that they're working with, and they have different levels of production people that are on their team. Some of those people might not know all the lingo because you're pulling up to a stage that's just a flatbed truck. Whereas, which I'm sure we've all done those. Whereas there could be an event such as Gretna Fest that hires me as a stage manager. And I'm the kind of person that wants to get all my details together. And once I have everything bullet pointed, I just send a blanket email to Lou for Waterseed from last year and say, here's all our details. Here's the parking scenario. Here's the merchandise scenario. Here's the hospitality scenario. And here's the specs of the backline gear that I'll actually have on the stage. And I list it all out. If you need anything else, please bring it, because this is what kind of budget this event is. But because it's all spelled out and professional right there, there's no more questions needed, but my contact information is there should anything come up.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and from the artist point of view, it's good to have your plugin sheet. That means like actual sound plugin sheet, your stage plot, any instruments you need. When Andy sends, this is what we have. What I go through is in the rehearsal, I'll just, or if I'm sitting there, I'll highlight, this is what they have. You're good playing this, you could with this as your bass amp, and I'm sending it to my musicians. You know, I have a musician that just joined the band. He has Mapex and SE endorsement with Sabian cymbals. He wants to always play on those things, and that's a great thing. So I'm listing what they have. If it's an issue, either it needs to be purchased, not purchased, brought, or I may double back to the stage manager and say, hey, this guy's endorsed. Or even better, do you mind if a Sabian cymbal representative comes out and puts the cymbals on the stage? So there's all of these things, but you want to have everything from your hospitality rider, all of that stuff laid out, because at the bottom of every rider, unless you're like Beyonce, Taylor Swift, you have a little asterisk where it's like, if these things cannot be met, please let us know in advance so that you can make the adjustments, but you want to have it as laid out as possible. And I'm also going to recommend, if you have your stage plot and your plugin, I have a PDF of it on my phone, because I have to say there are a lot, I hate to give it such a high percentage, and I'm not talking about just Louisiana or New Orleans, 70% of the festivals we play, they have not seen the stage plot that was brought in. So a lot of times I'm walking up and it's like, hey man, how's everything going? Being nice again, because these are people that our reputation depends upon for the next 90 minutes or hour or whatever. And if they're like, I don't have it, I'm like, dude, what's your number? Boom, boom. And I'm sending it to them, like, let's airdrop. I'm sending it directly to them. And every time they go like, and they go to the rest of the crew and they share it with everybody so that they can get that stage changed over as quickly as possible, and get going. So you want to send it in advance, but sometimes some of that stuff gets lost, especially if you're not a popular band. You know, anything could happen where it's your first time. They may not get it. So make sure you have it. The sound crew, stage manager, everybody appreciates that, so that somebody's not coming up to them every 5 minutes like, put this here, put that there, but you actually have something to give them and they can be like, okay, cool, you go do your thing, let us get this straight.
And of course, communication, as we see, is always key on these kind of scenarios, no matter what the budget of the event is. For instance, with Jazz Fest, I have my system set up so that I can easily duplicate the gear that I did for a specific artist the last time we had them. So I'm able to just pull that up and send Lou an email and say, hey, Lou, look this over for us. Does this gear look good? This is what we did before. Just let me know what to add or change and we'll go from there.
Sean, as a Static Pro artist, do you have more difficulties with kind of working with just a standard backline or sound issues?
Standard backline is pretty much, you know, what we end up with, what we use. You know what I'm saying? Mine is a little different because I brought Lou into that world. Mine is a little different because I use stems. I make these recordings that are so lush that I would have to pay 20 people to be on stage to make it sound anywhere close. So I started using stems. So I have that going on, but it's real simple. Like Lou, like they've always said, you have to have your rider, and I call it being prophylactic. I've always got protection every time I go. I got duplication and protection. If one breaks, I got another one. So if they didn't get it, here's my rider. Here's my stage plot. Here's my you didn't get that? Okay, here. You said like if I'm doing a track show, you said email it, right? I emailed it. You said you got it. I show up to do the show. I got my accordion, and you're like, "Where's your track?" I said, "I emailed it to y'all." Well, we don't have it. Why don't you have it? Well, so and so quit. Really? Okay, cool. Here, give it to them. You have to always have second, third, fourth protocol to take care of things. Because at the end of the day, it's your show and your responsibility, and you got to get to the bag. And the only way to get to the bag is to do the gig. And if you can't do the gig, you can't get the bag.
I always like to say, the fans don't know that. The fans are going to remember your show. They don't know that somebody forgot something. So you have to be super proactive all the time. Make sure that you know and that you're prepared, because fans aren't thinking technically. They just want to hear their song. They just want to be entertained. They don't care that you don't have sound in your monitor. They don't care that, where the track. They don't even know they're hearing all of that stuff most of the time. So that's when you move it into not taking it personally. Understand it's business. You're there for your fans and to get new fans. Work through it with the sound guys. If you make that stage crew or the sound guy mad at you before a show, it will not be a good show. Save all of that crap for later. You know what I'm saying? Go punch on something after, or laugh or have a drink, but no.
That's right. That's right.
Go ahead, John.
What Lou is speaking to, though, is the whole thing of when it's go time, it's go time. When it's go time, it's go time. I have had musicians in my band who weren't ready, didn't have their stuff together. We went to play a show in Austin last year. Last year. Got there. My son had left the power cord, and there was no power cord around, so we didn't have the stems. And then in my rider, there's a rider that we're supposed to have wireless, right? Have wireless units. The guy there at the stage, he wasn't motivated. He's like, I didn't get anything about a rider. About wireless units. So I just talked to the people who did, and they have the wireless, and they said they had it at the warehouse and they sent it. Well, I don't have it. Well, can you figure it out? Didn't figure it out. So now I can't even do my show because I don't have my wireless. So now I'm plugged up, my accordion is plugged up with a wire, and I'm stuck to a microphone. So what do? Do you act the donkey and pout and do all the crazy stuff? No. So what I end up having to do is go harder because I got to overcompensate now. So that show was very, very hype and very, very, but at the end of the day, we had so many opportunities to choose to be salty and to choose to be bitter. But at the end of the day, what I learned a long time ago and what the old folks told me, what I tell every single band member, I don't care what you got going on in your life. Once it's go time, all of this stuff goes away. Turn your smile on, turn your talent on, turn your charm on, and let's get it. And when we finish, we can go back to being mad, we can go back to being whatever. But in that finite amount of time called your performance, it needs to be all about those people who came to see you. And if you do that, you will always be okay.
So part of the communication thing is called the advance. You want to do all of this as much in advance as possible with the production team, with all the other important contacts so that you get the parking information that you need. You can figure out how you're getting your gear to the stage, the whole 9 yards. The strangest thing, you'd believe or not, I don't know how big of an artist they could be, but 9 times out of 10, once they have a big name agent, the agent is sending the wrong plot. So once you hire your own production team as a force, because you're going to have your own team put together, your production person has to be the one to do the due diligence on your end. Once you have that festival booked and it was through the agent, your production person reaches out and says, delete everything that you had and use this stuff. This is the correct information. He's sending out the stuff from 10 years ago still.
And
always follow up.
We've just added, for the last few festivals and shows, we have our own production guy, and I don't even get in the conversation. I'm gonna be honest. The moment I get the advance and I see that someone, hey, meet this guy, they're in production, I immediately say, hey, I've just added thus and so to this email, talk to them, because I want to be on the music. And then me and that guy or young lady meet several times before the show to make sure that it's working right. Like, we meet a lot, like damn near run the whole show. I need this here, that there, that there. And it's their responsibility to even assist the stage to get us ready to go to perform.
And I'm right now today doing all that as we speak here. The festival is going on this weekend. I'm always on it because, like the Austin Festival I told you about, I had 20 conversations about the wireless, made sure, yep, we got it, we paid for it, we got it, we paid for it, we got it, we paid for it, and it wasn't there. So as long as I've done everything I can do to make it shake, then I'm okay, and I just deal with the consequences. But like I said, I'm sending text messages right now as we speak with the production team, because I am that guy for me.
And Andy, how in advance do you want to be having these advances? How many weeks before the festival? Ideally, I'm assuming you should be doing this a week before or a few days before.
You don't want to wait until just 2 days before the festival, especially depending on how large the event could be. Because, for instance, in the terms of Jazz Fest, we are very departmentalized to help ourselves out internally. Because when we have 700 artists or whatever performing over the course of 8 days on 14 stages, I'm having a conversation about the time slot, and I'm having a conversation about the gear that's needed on stage and the whole 9 yards, but I can't be going into ticket conversation or parking scenarios or any of that because I'm wrapped up in production world. Whereas on a smaller budget event, say for Gretna Fest, when I'm brought on, they like me to be the one point of contact for bands to make it easy. So I wait until I have all those details that I've been pulling teeth for, and I try to reach out about a month in advance for smaller events like that and say, here's all our preliminary information that we have. Anything that's missing will be forthcoming once I have it, and reach out if you have anything come up on your end.
And what kind of things can you negotiate or coordinate with the festival in terms of your rider, your sound, anything about you're preparing for your performance? What kind of things are negotiable versus what kind of things aren't?
So
Everything's negotiable.
everything is technically negotiable. No matter how often you hear these are standard terms and conditions, that's what they do at a car dealership as well. These are standard terms and conditions. It's a matter of communication. And there's 2 points of communication there. There's the contracting point, which is where you want everything negotiated. Once you're already contracted, it's pretty much said and done. And at that point, it's all about the communication of with the production team. Hey, can you help me with this? Can you not help me with this? What can I do? What can't I do? So that you know the parameters.
Anybody else on what kind of things you can negotiate or should negotiate?
Everything's negotiable, and
pick your
so I
battles.
hesitate.
Pick your battles. Definitely pick your battles, because
what he said.
Know what? If green M&Ms is not that important to you, don't be starting to fuss over green M&Ms.
Don't whatever you do, don't
worry about the show.
So my biggest recommendation, and I always lean back on the artist, be real about where you are in your career. You know, Bri, I say this all the time. If you can't get up and walk away from the table, don't negotiate like that. You know, if you're not in a position where you can be like, you know what, you can't meet my needs, I'm out. You know, if you're not at that point in your career, it's kind of like, just start from where you are. You will know when you can flip a table, you know, and walk away, be like, I'm out of here. You'll know when you have the power and leverage to flip the table. You know,
well, I'm gonna say never flip a table. Never flip the table.
Well,
never flip a table.
I hear what you're saying, Sean. Look, I've seen your quote unquote A-listers go off on a lot of people, and then everybody's very subservient to, oh my God, I'm so sorry I made you mad. I've seen that happen, and the artist gets exactly what they want. I don't think anybody on this call is on that level. You know what I'm saying? So don't, you know, be smart.
But that's not a level, but Lou, that's not a level to be on. The thing about that is this: you can do that for a season, but all those people that you piss off and you do wrong and you make kiss the ring, you're going to see them on the way down because they'll be on the way up. And you want them to remember that you were nice to them. You want them to remember that you were the one artist in that whole time who saw them struggling and gave them a pass or helped them out or did something nice to them, because they're now the director of that festival and your butt isn't as popular as you used to be, but they remembered you, so they brought you back on. You got to remember that God is watching. The people are watching, and it will come back to you. It will come back to you, and it will come back in spades. But the thing about negotiation, what I wanted to say a while ago, was this: everything is negotiable, and the stuff in your rider, like the green M&Ms and stuff like that, all that in there is just it's fodder for the machine. They know sometimes you get it all, and you be like, I got it all. Oh my God, I got it all. Oh my God, I got it all. But then most times they'll come, hey, we wanted to let you know, we can't buy alcohol. And you go, oh no, that's okay. You get the rider is your opportunity to be the hero. To be the hero of the negotiation. That's all the rider is. Because at the end of the day, the rider is, except for the technical stuff, the rider doesn't have anything to do with your performance. Unless you put, illegal drugs in there and stuff like that. But, other than that, it has nothing to do with your performance. So you can negotiate that out easily and be the hero. Oh man, he was great. He was great. We couldn't do the thing. And he was like, don't worry about that. And did a great show. Versus he made me get the green M&Ms, and he sucked.
And he didn't even touch them.
And
what I'll say.
Yeah, and he didn't even touch them. That's the worst. That's the worst.
Well, what I'll say to a few of those things is that as artists, and I'm not disagreeing with you, Sean, but you got to know your boundaries. As an artist, if your boundary is this and that's not being met, I don't have a problem with people walking away from that. I will say you don't have to flip a table, but if that's in your personality, flip the damn table. You got to own that check. You got to cash that check. but know that a lot of times that you can get the same message across by not flipping the table, which is my method. The green M&Ms thing, I didn't. I got that level artist for. I got that level artist like opinion about the green M&Ms, and a lot of times, the reason they put ridiculous things in there is because it's like they want to see that you read the writer. So what they're doing is they're literally doing like a gut. And if they walk in the room and they don't see just green M&Ms, they walk out. And they're just like, nope, they didn't read my writer. You know, they didn't take my writer seriously. So it's that kind of thing why this particular artist who, you know, makes millions of dollars was telling me why they put that kind of stuff in there.
Okay, guys, let's go and move on to, you have booked the festival, you have promoted, you have done all of your prep work, and now we are on the day of the festival. So let's kind of walk us through what are the best practices, what should you be doing on the day of, and then we're going to talk about what you don't do.
Well, first off, like Sean kind of alluded to, is you be Mr. Positivity when you're showing up on site. And you start to say hello to every single person working at that festival that you're crossing paths with, because you don't know who that person could be now, or you don't know who they could be 5 years from now and remember you.
And Sean, what about you?
Best believe they will remember you. Now, what's your question? I'm sorry.
Talk me through what do you do on the day of? How do you do pre-prep? When do you get there? What kind of things are you doing before your performance?
Okay, I'm always going to get there super early. I want to, unless there's a space issue and they said don't come early, then I'm still coming early. I'm still coming early, and I'll be really nice about the fact that I came early. I make sure that if at all possible, and if I can, I make sure all of my musicians are with me. I don't like stragglers. I don't like depending on them to get there if I don't have to. So I'll make sure we all get together. We show up early. We get there ready to go. Oh, excuse me. All of my equipment is checked. I'm prophylactic. I got batteries. I got extra stems. I got extra cords. I'm ready with all of my equipment. The show is ready. We're clear on everything. Everybody has their lists. Everybody's got everything together as far as what we're going to do. I'm extremely, like I said, I'm my team. So I'm talking to people up until probably the time that they go, Sean Ardoin. And then I'll stop my conversation and run up on stage, because until I get that team that really wants to work as hard as I do, I'm the team. So I'm doing everything for me that I can. Now, sometimes like this weekend, I'll have my band members that are superstars and they can take stuff off my plate, and they do. And I'm really appreciative. But like, we're constantly ready to do stuff. And if at all possible, we record the session, I mean the show, because I record the show because I want to do prep work like football and athletes do. I want to go back and listen to it. I thought this was beautiful until I did it and it fell flat. And if you don't get to go back and listen to it, you don't do it. So I'm always, there's 50 million moving parts. I got the camera guy there, the videographer there. So I'm making sure they're cool, making sure they're doing it. I'm just setting everything up for success. And then right beforehand, we pray, we speak, we declare, speak a good performance, and then we go up there and give a great performance. And afterwards, like Lou said earlier, and like I alluded to, you thank everybody. You're nice to everybody on the way out. If there are people who wants to talk, I'm the type of person where I will talk to you until you're good, and then but I'll let you know if there's somebody behind you, I'll give you all the attention. And I'll do stuff like Lainey Wilson did at the CMA festivals this weekend. Lainey Wilson did an 11-hour meet and greet. The line was around 2 blocks. They waited all that time. She met everybody and gave everybody the great energy. You do stuff like that, you will be successful. Treat everybody like they're somebody. Nobody is nobody.
Lou, what about with you? What are your best practices for the day of before you play?
I'm definitely there early. So I like to get there as early as possible. As soon as somebody like Andy is saying the green room is available, I'm there. I like to have my stuff there, potentially already set up off stage, something like that, because changeovers on festivals are very quick. And I'm in the green room, kind of my best practice for it is like being prepared. I don't I'm usually there like 2 hours before I have a requirement for all my musicians to be there, like pending on the festival, an hour, 30 minutes before. Um, I'm there. My best practices are literally, I need quiet space. So I will sit by myself or sit away from people. I do not want to be running around. I'm like sitting down. I'm going through songs in my head. I'm doing everything. So I'm like, when we're, before we hit the stage, I've already run the whole show like 3 or 4 times. So I'm not, you come to a water seat green room, people run around doing, no, our green rooms are usually really quiet. Before a show, everybody's kind of chilling. Maybe there's some jokes or whatever, but it's really like everybody's just super hyper focused on the show and getting it done. Everything from like, I'm a drummer no matter what, so I always have to bring some level of gear. Making sure my gear is packed, everything is right, everything is in a place where it's supposed to be. That's just good practices across the board. Anytime you set up or break anything, you should put everything in the same place all the time. I'm double checking stuff like that. Maybe some spare stuff, maybe stuff like that. I am checking on my team, my crew, making sure that they're all good. Depending on the festival, if we can do a particular festival we just did, we went in, we were able to set up sound because we were running stems. As Sean said, we were able to set up sound, our wiring, like at 8 a.m. before the festival started, with our best efforts to try to get on the stage as quickly as possible. So this particular festival, we got there at 8 a.m, work with the sound guys, and then we went away and came back for our regular time, just to help with everything. It just depends on the festival, but ultimately, make sure all your gear is together, make sure your people are in play, however you manage your situation like that. Make sure, things like set list, water, all of that stuff is in play. And I need to be as as empty-minded as possible. What I mean by that, I need to be as chilled as possible so that I have a whole lot to crank up to once I hit the stage, So before I hit the stage, it's usually a process of getting everybody together, getting myself, ready and pumped to go so that I have a whole lot of energy to give once I hit that stage. And that's usually it.
And Andy, from your, extensive experience being on the background of the festivals, what would you say are things not to do on the day of before your performance?
I would say you don't just walk on the stage and do whatever you're going to do without talking to people that are running the things, because they may already have a game plan in place with how the whole day has to flow. So for instance, if one of these artists here needs to show up and set their stems up, it's always best to, in the advanced process leading up, stress how important it is that we need to get there early so that we can preset our stems, so that we're not doing that in the 15-minute changeover. Because at the end of the day, these people get it too. They're in it for a reason. They want to be able to make theirs and move on, but want it as smooth as possible on their end too. They're not trying to make a situation difficult. So communication, figure out who your stage manager is, figure out the lay of the land, figure out your hospitality situation, figure out your guest situation. Just don't demand that your guest can come backstage and on stage, because what if that's not the festival's protocol?
What I'll add to the thing what Andy just said, it just struck a nerve with me. You're absolutely right. Introduce yourself to the crew. Find a stage manager, the people who are just hustling and bustling, moving wires, say, hey man, what's your name? Nice to meet you. Introduce yourself. But man, that, I kid you not, it's so rude and so disrespectful. I've done so many shows where, the act before or after us will have literally 20, 30 people backstage. And it's just like, bro, it's like you have your personal stuff in the green rooms. You have all of this. It's like, it's not cool. Like, only bring your essential people. This is your friends need to be out front. It's not the hang. Like, it's the most, like, I could think of a festival. I'm like sitting outside in the heat behind the stage because I can't get in the green room because 50 people are back. And I'm just like, I could have gone to the stage manager and said whatever, but it was just a situation for me where it's like, I'm trying to be chill. I'm not trying to be like that guy. I'm focused on my show, but it was damn uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? I've never gone to a festival gig in what I'm going to wear on stage. I'm usually dressed way down so that if I have to move anything on stage, people may take a minute to realize that it's me actually moving wires or a microphone or something. You know what I'm saying? So then I run back and I change, and then when I'm ready to go. So even with that, it's like, I got to change clothes. The ladies in the band have to change clothes, and there's 50 people. It's like, don't do that. Just don't do that.
Be respectful of the staff and also the other performers.
Just do your due diligence even, if you're knowing that you come with that kind of fan base because that's what you've grown into, when you're doing your advanced process, make it clear, I need a meet and greet area so that we're not disrupting your workspace or the workspace of the other artists on the event.
Communication and prophylactic.
Let's talk about the performance itself. Are your set lists for festivals different than your normal gigs? How do you approach putting on your festival set list, especially for perhaps a crowd that's less familiar with you?
A set list, what I've seen for most major festivals, unless you're a rehearsed group that has timestamp things that have to run because of your video and your audio, it's a call sheet. The best way to put it is, for your festival set, your set list is just a call sheet because you want to feel the energy coming from that crowd and have the ability to call audibles and change up to what the song needs to be for that crowd to keep it going.
What he just said, I had that conversation today. We had rehearsal, got the list, everything. I said, but look, be ready for a left turn.
And what kind of things talking about
if I could add to that, we just started doing like a definitive set. Like, this was it from beginning to end, in conjunction with some other larger stuff we're doing, where we said these are going to be the songs no matter what. So it's not it's the first time that we've ever done shows where we couldn't do audibles. It's like, this is the show, and it was because it was sequenced and all of this stuff was happening. And we'll move some stuff around as we go, but because it was sequenced, you have to be that much more diligent about what you're doing, because what you are losing is what Andy and Sean are saying. You're losing the ability to be like, that song fell flat. Let me call up one of my songs that's going to get them back into the show. You're losing the ability to do that, which is something that we typically do, but we're in a different phase now. So it's that much more important that the technical aspect of the show is in play, or you may not even be able to finish your whole show, so it gets tricky. So tomato, it is what it is.
Just depends on where you are in your career. That's all. What you're trying to accomplish. We've done the things where I had everything stemmed out, and once we started, we did not stop. But what I noticed after I'd done that a few times was we're messing with the psychology of the performance. When you talk, the human voice, when people are hearing the human voice and you're talking and you're having conversation, you're talking in between songs sometimes, that endears people to you. If all they're hearing is boom, 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 that doesn't endear them to you. They never had a chance to connect with you. So for me, doing it that way was cool musically. I noticed that afterwards there was a disconnect from the way I usually do it. So for me, having that time in between to talk, and you can have it scheduled, but I don't. Y'all can tell from the red glasses, I'm a freer spirit than that. I don't, I'm not like Lou. I don't have to be quiet. Lou is an artist.
Well, that would be a great assumption that we don't talk to the crowds. We engage crowds very much.
No, I
So
said
with our
no, I said
show,
me.
but
I know you do. I know you do. I said me. But I'm talking about to be quiet before the thing. That was my artist quip. That was all, Luke. I was just being funny. Being funny.
oh, I know,
You know what I'm saying?
I know. But it is something, you know, Sean's right in the fact that you do want those moments to connect as much as possible. If you're doing a track show that sequence and has a definitive set list that is immovable, just you have to know your crowd and you have to know your music.
One of the things that I've seen a lot more of is across the country, you're seeing a lot of these marathons popping up that realize live music is an added extra bonus for all the runners. So they might have 10 to 30 stages throughout the race course. Think about how that attention span is when you have the runners going by in the front of your stage. You see that pack coming, it's time to start playing. What are you going to play? And at the end of the day, it's always interesting to hear what bands get the most comments out of the crowd that ran by and just saw that one clip of the music, and that stuck with that person to the point that they had to register that at the end of the race.
And during the performance, what kind of things have gone wrong for you while you were playing, and how did you address that? Were you able to?
Wireless interference.
And how does that affect? What does that affect?
Oh, well, you're singing and you hear breaker 19. She's running. We got a runner. Amplified at 100,000 watts. That's happened to me before.
Yeah. Wow. We've had very few instances on festivals that I thought were super major, except one or two instances. I'll talk about them in a second. But some of the typical things are like feedback, other things happening like that. It was, you know, that's why you should not, you know, if you're not ready to deal with those things, you're probably not ready to do a festival. You know, that's stuff that you need to have worked out. You know, somebody should have been punching on you or pushing and doing everything to make sure that you have thick skin where that doesn't get into you emotionally. You can put on the same show. I mean, with the last incident that happened, you know, it was pretty nightmarish. You know, we did morning prep and morning check to make sure that we wouldn't have problems. We ran into problems before the set happened, which took up time, but then everything was running late on the festival. So, you know, we had this whole amazing show planned and we only were able to do half the show. The amount of anger that I felt in that moment, it takes a whole lot to get me pissed off, but I flipped some tables, Sean. But it was ultimately, it came down to, I didn't out the stage too much, but I did apologize to the fans. You know, I did apologize on the stage to the fans graciously. I think the whole production crew, they were under whatever type of pressure, and I get that part. But it was for me, you know, I felt more than us as artists and more than a stage production, the fans should have experienced what we planned for them to experience and what we'd advertised we would do. And so I apologize to the fans for not being able to see, you know, or experience all the music that we had prepared for them. And that's what made me mad, you know, is that you work hard to put something together. And for things outside of your control, you couldn't deal with it. You know, you couldn't do what you intended to do. Ultimately, you know, you walk away from it, fans enjoyed it, people, whatever, you know, it was what it was. And you just take it as a learning experience. It could have been a lot. I could have been a lot more. We all could have been much more assholes about it and kicked up dust and done all of this complaining on socials and stuff. I did a little social complaining, but I didn't say any names. But I didn't even say the situation now that I think about it. But the idea is that you know, ultimately, you know, shit happens. People have good days, people have bad days. Had I thought that that crew and everybody did something malicious, oh, I'd have flipped 2 tables, you know, and then sent emails and everything else. But I tend to live my life based off people's intent. And if I feel that it was not a harmful intent the way things turned out, then I'll get through the emotional part. If I deem it necessary, I'll directly deal with the emotional part, because what happens is I always get the opportunity to address it eventually. And that's when I deal with it. But you just keep going. It's art, it's music. It happens to every artist on every level. It doesn't matter. So,
and
yeah.
we're specifically in the realm of festivals here. If we were looking at venues, that's a vacuum sealed environment where you don't have all of these variables that could come up that are unbeknownst.
Right.
Festival, I'm taking a sound system and building it in the middle of the nowhere. So that's physics to begin with. It has to do with the air temperature and the whole 9 yards, the sun, the wind. I could take that same PA system and turn it on and off 50 times and have a different reaction with it every time I turn it on and off, because it's just the nature of the beast. I had a scenario last year where all of a sudden the electrical panel fell down the ditch. So the whole electrical for the stage was off. The band on stage thought, how do I save my performance? Because that's the end of it if I stop. Well, they decided to play acoustic for the audience. So they kept the audience there the whole time.
And I'll add to that. And this isn't a festival thing. We were in St. Louis at this beautiful place, sold out crowd. Feedback was so bad. I mean, we got through 4 songs. It was just people coming. I literally just broke the band down to like, I need guitar, vocals, no drums, and we've had to finish the show that way. Because again, it's your fans. They came for a show, and then it maybe turns into a special situation like they're actually talented. You know, they did their songs as raw as possible, and we still had a good time. So make sure your artistic craft is on a level that, like, even though we have STEM support to help with background vocals and horn parts, look, the band plays, we make sure our band plays those songs. We play those songs, you know, so yeah, that part.
Yeah, I've had, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I have had just about every conceivable situation happen in my time as an artist, from power situations like that, Andy, from the power going out. And for us, it wasn't a thing where we saw the pole go in the river, but like when the power would go off, we just keep playing and the power comes back on. The drums are acoustic, so we just keep playing, and I'm playing the accordion and we're going and everything, and the power comes back on, and like, situations like that. But as far as festivals are concerned, the biggest problems we have usually is with monitor world, because the people on the monitor end, you know, if there's a person who's not necessarily into their job, they'll like get you set up and everything's great, and then they'll stop paying attention. And the show is going on, and you look to the left or the right to say, "Hey, give me some more of this," and they're either in their phone or they're not there. I played one gig recently. We're on the festival, we're playing. I look, I go, "He's gone. Where did he go?" and which part of your job description said that you could leave in the middle of a performance? You know, so you got that. You got the feedback thing, and using my tracks. I had a stereo track going, and then it wasn't working for them because they'd always have it either too loud or too low. So I separated the tracks and I gave them individuals, and then they couldn't find the tracks when I was like, "Hey, bring the." So then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna mix this and I'm gonna keep control of it. So I got Ableton on there, and if they don't do it right, then I can turn it up myself. So I figured out a situation where I could have more control on my stage with my stuff. But man, things go wrong. Like the drums will break. The foot pedal broke one time. Cymbals will break. The heads and the drums will break. You just have to keep going. You basically just got to keep going. And at one point, like something happened with part of the power on the stage. So then we just sang acoustically, and they did something differently. You know, you have, and these things, there's no way you can plan for them. There's no way you can account for them. When they happen, that's how you become the artist that you are and the experienced professional that you are. How you respond to adversity is going to determine how good you are and how, you know, how you last in this industry. Because if you have a meltdown every time, not talking about you, Lou, not talking about you, Lou, don't say, I'm not saying you, but if you have a meltdown every time, yeah, I'm melting down, right? I'm flipping tables, damn it, I'm flipping tables. If you have a meltdown every time something goes wrong, first of all, like we said earlier, that reputation is going to fly. And in this day of God always watching, the social media, the phones, you're going to go viral for the wrong reason. And you might not be able to flip that.
There's always solutions. Always a solution.
Always. Look for it. Be solution-minded instead of problem-minded.
Yep.
All right, guys, we are wrapping up soon. So I just have a couple more questions for you, and then we'll open it up to the rest of the group. If y'all have any questions, go ahead and start dropping them in the chat. But how would you say, and Sean, we'll start with you, but how would you gauge whether or not a festival gig was successful?
You know, there are some people who have the metrics and everything that they go by afterwards. They look at it and see how much engagement they get afterwards. I gauge whether it was successful or not as to whether the crowd stayed with me. You know, like if I started with a small crowd, ended up with a big crowd, cool. If I started with a big crowd, ended up with a smaller crowd, and I'm like, well, why? And then in case of Jazz Fest, well, it's because, you know, all these major people just started playing. That's pretty cool. But like the last time I played, they put me as a headliner on a stage with Lenny Kravitz, Mavis Staples, Ziggy Marley, and somebody else playing at these other stages. And that was a success for me because the people who came to see me were there. But as people were going from Mavis to Ziggy, right, caught them. And they stayed. I disrupted their plans to go and see somebody else. That was a success. You know, anytime I got the crowd with me, it's a success. You know, I you know what? To be real, did I do the gig? Did we accomplish our goal? Did we give somebody the atmosphere to choose to be happy? It was successful.
Lou,
I'm living my dream.
Yeah. So for me, success is a little different. And this is for any show for me. It depends on like how I felt the show went. And this upsets some of the guys from time to time, but some people in the band. But I don't, you know, if it's 5 people, if it's 5,000 people, if artistically we didn't accomplish what we needed to accomplish, I'm going to feel some kind of way about it. So that's just how I do it. So it's very personal. It's a feeling, you know, it's a feeling that I identify with really well. And whatever, you know, I tend to not listen to fans' opinions too much. I mean, and we get a lot of people that come up and say the show is great. And that's, if I had to say any metric, that would be the metric. Like, what did the fans walk away with? Are people talking about it? The only trick part to that, and just going off that, is I've worked with a lot of musicians that live in that. And just what people thought it should, oh, it was great, it was great, it was great. But did you do your best? Did you accomplish what you set out to do? Did you give your all? Those things are important to me. And I feel like if there's 5 people there, but you executed, you gave your all, you did all the things you needed to do, you can grow from that. And if you did not do those things, then you just go back to and everybody's, you guys are amazing. Oh my God. All right. You still didn't accomplish the things that you knew that you could get to. You say, well, they like this, this, and this, and this, but here's where I can improve. So for me, it's just a personal thing. And and I'll shut up after this, because I never want to be and I think I've used this in class too, I never want to be the person that makes it all the way to amateur night at Apollo because my friends say I'm great. And, and it's like I suck. It's like you stated within your set small group. So I tend to not take the opinions of fans too seriously, but it's got to feel good for me. Yeah.
And then just kind of to wrap up, what is your favorite part, or what do you love most about playing festivals, and what do you like least?
I'll go first. I love the opportunity to play in front of a lot of people. I love that. The thing that I least like about playing in front of festivals, we're not on this level yet, is that on the level we're on, I feel like we still can't present our full vision. And I would like to get there. So I would like to be able to present, the music and the sound, how we can, it's easier to capture that in a club, as Andy was saying, because there's a controlled environment, but when you play a festival, the sound just goes, and you do your best. Not saying it's not a great experience, but yeah. So striving to get to that level where they give us, an hour, 2-hour sound check, in the morning before we perform. Yeah.
Andy, what about you?
Ooh. I mean, just the diversity of the people that you get to play in front of at festivals, no matter what the event is, what it's all about, really. And, as a metric, from a performer's perspective and a event producer perspective, I've always thought it was a good metric when I see just one person from the audience walk up and say to the artist, I had never heard of you or heard your music before, but I want to buy your CD now. That means that you accomplished what you went out to do at that festival.
And Sean, we started with you, so we'll end with you.
Awesome. Yeah. Favorite thing about it is like what everybody else has said, because I like playing in front of bigger crowds because I can do my thing, like really do my thing in front of bigger crowds. I can do it in the club too, but it's really fantastic when I do it in front of big crowds. And I've gained super fans and friends for life from playing festivals. This one couple out of New Jersey, they showed up to Jazz Fest and saw my set. The son and the dad did. The next year they came as a whole family, and then every year they would plan their vacation around what day I was playing Jazz Fest, and they let me know. And I've visited, they've helped, they've booked me, they've helped. It's the fact that you can connect to so many people, and I'm a people person. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm a real people person. So the fact that I could connect with that many people at one time is like, it's euphoria for me. So, and then the fact that I can take my art and let them experience it. And then like Andy was saying, when people come after and go, oh my God, I never heard of you, but I'm going to get all your stuff. Oh my God. I'm like, it worked.
Well, thank you guys so much. This has been, we covered a lot, but I think we touched on everything, and certainly a great starting point. Sean, Andy, thank you guys so much. Y'all were wonderful. We can't wait to work with you again. Lou, you're my boy as always. For the people who attended, we're so happy that you were able to make it too. Keep an eye out for Crescendo starting back in the fall, but we're also going to be working on more and more of these kinds of one-off sessions. If there are topics you want covered, let Jean know, and we will see what we can do about it. But just thank you so much for your time, your attention, your love. Also keep in mind that Ella has a program called Tête-à-Tête, where if you want to have a one-on-one session with someone like Sean or Lou or Andy to kind of talk about where you are in your career or what you need to work on for your own festival bookings or management, really anything, make sure you go to Ella's website and check out that service. But thank you guys so much. Thanks, the audience. This has been wonderful, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Bri.